Well, thank you very much. Shalom. Greetings to you all. Well, it seems this has been a difficult week for many. For Franca, with the loss of her cousin Giancarlo Rita, only 48, taken too soon. For Monty, the loss of Sonia, as he and Anna bid her fond farewell. For Gail and Malcolm, who lost their best friend Gordy. God full of mercy who dwells on high, grant perfect rest on the wings of your divine presence in the lofty heights of the holy and pure. Shine as the brightness of the heavens to the souls of these friends. They've gone to their eternal rest, as all their family and friends pray for the elevation of these souls. Their resting place shall be in the Garden of Eden. Therefore the Master of Mercy will care for them, under the protection of his wings for all time, and bind their souls in the bond of everlasting life. God is their inheritance. They will rest in peace. And let us say Amen. With all that is going on in the world this week, we conclude the plagues, my friends, the final three, although you would think there's plagues going on right now. Locust, darkness, and death of the firstborn. The reversal in many ways of the first three stages of creation. And these three are completely beyond the realm for which natural answers can apply. There are always people who want to try and find the natural reason for what the plagues were. And remember, the purpose of the plagues is not punishment for Egypt, but rather it is to make God known. Now, the locusts devour whatever, the hail left. And there were so many that they covered the land completely. You could not see anything but them. Imagine looking out. There's no grass, no land, no trees, just a blanket of locusts. Then came the darkness, palpable. And the Lord said to Moses, stretch out your hand over the heavens, that there be darkness upon the land of Egypt, a darkness one can feel. What would it be like for a darkness so thick it could be felt? And again, notice, as in creation, where there were a series of separations, there is separation in these final plagues between the homes of Israel and the homes of Egypt. Darkness is in Egypt, light in Goshen. Now, what a metaphor that happens to be. And it's a setup for the final plague of light and life for Israel, darkness and death for Egypt. Now, speaking of light and dark, there's a lunar eclipse coming up on the 10th, an event that only occurs at night when the Earth goes between the sun and the moon, and the three perfectly align. And of course, some have tried to say the plague of darkness was a solar eclipse, but solar eclipses do not last for 3 days. And because the color of the moon often looks red during these lunar eclipses, they're occasionally known as blood moons, which would be pretty apropos during this week's reading. And of course, the terrifying final plague, Exodus 12:2. Thus said the Lord, around midnight, I am going out in the midst of Egypt, and every firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die. I will strike down every firstborn in the land of Egypt, from man to beast. Now notice it's God who will be doing the killing. Now this was changed in Talmudic times to an angel of death, because we did not want to associate God with such wanton killing. But it is obvious as you read this that God is doing this himself. And notice that this holiday is marked by blood. Blood has a huge meaning in early biblical development and is especially prevalent in the Moses story. You see, the deployment of blood is a recurrent theme in the literary structure of the larger narrative. Moses is thrust from Egypt and set on the road towards his vocation as prophet after he sheds the blood of the Egyptian taskmaster. On the way back to Egypt, it is the blood of circumcision that saves his life, a strong foreshadowing of the 10th plague that evidently interprets circumcision as a kind of substitute for the sacrifice of the firstborn. Then the plagues begin with the turning of the water of the Nile into blood. And now to end them all, I will see the blood, and I will pass over you, and no scourge shall become a destroyer amongst you when I strike in the land of Egypt. And this day shall be a remembrance for you, and you shall celebrate it as a festival to the Lord through your generations, an everlasting statute. You shall celebrate it. 7 days shall you eat flat bread, otherwise known as matzah. So That's what we have happening this week. So let's do a quick call to gather from Psalm 133, Behine Matov, inviting everyone to come together, to unify together. Hine Matov, Shebitachim Yachad, Hine Matov, Shebitachim Yachad. How good and how pleasant it is for brothers and sisters together. And isn't that how it should be? All together. No division, no lines, all one. Now, we should come together as a natural thing, not as an unnatural thing, only a crisis thing. So let's all together take a moment to express gratitude and renew spirit and energy with and for each other. Take time to be thankful for all the miracles of our lives, our health, our happiness, our families and friends, and the great love that envelops us and everyone we know. And let's share that goodwill and love with those in need. Send out energy to help heal all those in need of healing and renewal at this time of hope, of peace, of light. Remember that sending goodwill, love, peace, and thanks is such an easy thing to do, my friends, to transmit energy to everybody you know in need. Call out names for whoever you know. For John and his chemo treatments, for Bob, for Carly. All of you in need of love, of renewal of spirit. Think of those in need and call out healing for them. The kindness, healing wishes, goodwill, and love you all send out just circles the world, finding those in need. So thank you, each of you. Misha Bereh Avotenu Makor HaBracha Limotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Misha Barak, let us all have our spirits renewed, my friends. Now, this week, this is Bo, come, but sometimes go. Now, it's interesting that the same word can be both, but of course we know that from the universal greeting, shalom, peace, hello, goodbye, opposites. An amazingly bright student of mine pointed out that we come to things we desire, like God and good, life and decency, and we go from the things we want to avoid, like fear and pain, evil and darkness. Now the parsha opens, Exodus 10:1, as we are told point blank, what some may see as a confession of sorts. Vayamer Adonai el Moshe bo el paro ki ani. And the Lord said to Moses, come to Pharaoh, for I myself have hardened his heart and the heart of his servants, so that I may set these signs of mine in his midst, and so that you may tell in the hearing of your son and your son's son how I toyed with Egypt, and my signs that I set upon them, and you shall know that I am the Lord. Well, God's in complete control of everything taking place, and he's letting you know right now. And what a statement. For I myself have hardened his heart and the heart of his servants. This is the first time that God informs Moses before his audience with Pharaoh that he has hardened the heart of the Egyptian monarch. And we're told this is something that will be told for generations to come. We are given the purpose of everything right here. You know, Moses has to almost be saying to himself, well, what am I going to say anything to Pharaoh for if you're going to make him say no? And we then get to witness the instructions for and participate and observe in the first festival of freedom, or as we call it, Passover, which is the time to tell our sons and our sons' sons Now, Passover was the most important holy day in the Torah, far more important than Yom Kippur, the day of law casting. Passover is about freedom, and the entire Torah is the story of a search for freedom. Passover is more than an opportunity to tell the story of freedom. It's also a demonstration. You see, it is to be your story of freedom. Its purpose, from the time the youngest asks, why is this night different from all others, is to transmit faith to the next generation. Faith, our theme for the year. Faith that they too can be free. I'm free. I'm free. And freedom, taste of reality. And friends, freedom does taste of reality. Have faith in your ability to be free. Now, we also see what some consider to be the first prejudice in the Bible. Exodus 12:48. And if an alien will reside with you and will make Passover to the Lord, let him be circumcised, every male, and then he may come forward to do it, and he will be like a citizen of the land. But everyone who is uncircumcised shall not eat from it. Now, people have debated about this. Many took it to be talking about Jews and non-Jews or Gentiles. Now, the Torah clearly states that no uncircumcised person may eat of the Passover. What's more, it says that if a stranger wants to celebrate Passover, he has to be circumcised first. So is this prejudice? When we speak of Passover, we generally mean the entire feast of unleavened bread. In the Torah, the term Passover, Pesach, applies only to the sacrifice of the Passover lamb. And its consumption is what Exodus 12:48 refers to. It prohibits an uncircumcised person from making a Passover sacrifice and eating a Passover lamb. The Hebrew makes it clear that such a person is only prohibited from sacrificing the lamb. Now, this is a law. It applies to both Jews and Gentiles. There shall be one instruction for the citizen and one for the alien who resides among you. The distinction is about circumcision, not about spiritual practice or belief. An uncircumcised Jew and an uncircumcised Gentile are both forbidden from sacrificing or eating a Passover lamb. But the Torah does not forbid them from keeping the feast of unleavened bread. For thousands of years, we've had no temple and no sacrifices. Diaspora Judaism keeps the Seder, 7 days of unleavened bread, without a lamb. And the opinion that it's for everybody can be derived even from rabbinic sources found in the Talmud in Pesachim 96a, where it states that an uncircumcised non-Jew is allowed to keep the Seder and Feast of Unleavened Bread. It's only regarding the actual lamb sacrifice is he banned. So this is not prejudice. The purpose of the circumcision at some point might have simply been to separate the holy or the priests from the rest of the people. So today, even uncircumcised believers, whether they're Jewish or Gentile, are welcome at every Seder table. They should partake of the matzah, the bitter herbs, the 4 cups, and the 7 days of the Feast of Unleavened Bread with a glad heart. We are all one. We all seek freedom, and this is a holiday of freedom. Come and sing a simple song of freedom. Sing it like you've never sung before. Let it fill the air. Tell the people everywhere. We the people here don't want a war. Now it seems the more that we don't want a war, the more wars we tend to have. Freedom has a cost. An internal cost and sometimes an external cost, but history is not destiny. Now, Passover is an opportune time to break with our past and start over as new creatures in a spirit of freedom. It's an annual reminder that we must leave the old culture behind. Every Passover is a chance to start again. That we remember that we have left our spiritual Egypt. We are free from the past. We need to set aside those things in our lives that continue to enslave us. Yes, this is the same law for all. Everyone is entitled to the same freedom. It is the first of many times that we are reminded there is only one law. I think it's 15 times, actually. And that law applies to all, and there is no distinction between native and alien. While we may not practice that in real life, it is what God told us to observe, so there's no reason we can't start practicing it now. The Exodus story is the story that defines the nation. The Passover ritual, which commemorates that story, is the cultic enactment of membership in the nation. It's one of the most incredible rituals of all, fully detailed and easy enough for anyone to do and to follow. It was and is the revolution that reminded everyone for all time, as it made freedom a basic right. And we get to reenact and teach it every year to new generations, so that it will always be flamed in the genetic heart and soul of man. Now, the holiday was, of course, known by its biblical name, the Festival of Flatbread, Matzah, the bread of the priest, elevating every participant to holy status, which we have done every year for over 3,000 years. You shall observe this day through your generations, an everlasting statute. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, in the evening, you shall eat flatbread until the 21st day in the evening. 7 days no leaven shall be found in your houses. And for those of you who take a peek at the Hebrew beside the English, you will notice that when Moses explains the ritual to the elders about the lamb and the sacrifice and the blood, he says, draw out, take yourself sheep, draw, Mashak, not Moshe. Notice it is not the name Moses that means to draw. And the Lord shall pass over the entrance, and he shall not allow the destroyer to come into your houses to scourge. And you shall keep this thing as a statute for you and your sons, everlasting. Everlasting means forever. And so when you come to the land that the Lord will give you, as he has spoken, you shall keep this service. And so should your sons ask you, what is this service to you? You shall say, a Passover sacrifice to the Lord, who passed over the houses of the Israelites in Egypt when he scourged Egypt, and our households he rescued. Well, the story of passing over and the translation is actually a biblical pun. The primary meaning of the Hebrew verb pasha is to skip or hop or halt, because God would stop and alter course at any house with the blood on the lintel. But we like Passover, as we picture something floating above the houses, noticing the blood. So the translations that you read do not give the same sense of meaning to it. And friends, it was this level of unnecessary death that was enough for God to allow Pharaoh to let the people go. Because as God told us, it was he who would harden Pharaoh's heart to keep him from letting the people go. Well, we did go. We've been journeying ever since, striving to get higher, holier. Well, Egypt sank and never recovered. But can anyone ever actually free you? Or do you do the work necessary to free yourselves? In many ways, this is a story of grief. Freedom for some is the beginning of the grief journey. For others, it is the end. This is the story of two nations with completely different effects. For the Egyptians, shock of losing workers, yearning for the old days and the old ways, anger over the new order, adjustment, how to care for self, but with lessons never fully learned. So it was a society that never fully re-entered the world. For Israel, all the same things took place. Shock of being thrown out, yearning for free food, anger at Moses and God. You're going to keep reading about that over the next little while. 40-year adjustment journey to establish new law, with the ultimate re-entry as a growing, developing, viable civilization. And Moses said to the people, remember this day on which you went out of Egypt from the house of slaves. For by strength of hand the Lord brought you out from here. Now remember, Joseph was in the house of slaves. My friends, the cycle is complete. Yes, the world is sacred, and so is everything in it. Express your gratitude, light a candle, make a wish, celebrate your life and the lives of those you love. Share your feelings with them, live free, honor your freedom, be well, be happy, be blessed. Share and honor the light and all who live in the light and continue to shine. Continue to send everyone you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace and freedom for everyone. An end to terror and hatred. Remember, friends, we are a community. We learn together. We celebrate each other. We love each other. Share this ride together, men and women equally. Let us send out love, not fear. Send out peace, harmony, good healing to all who need it. And please do learn to forgive, learn to love. Open your hearts. Honor the relationships of your life. Tell those you love that you love them. Take advantage of the time you have. Enjoy the journey. We take the twists and turns and the patterns that weave through the fabric of our lives in our effort to grow, to learn, to be, to love. So please do love. Send healing, goodwill, and love to all who need it. Share your holiness. Bless you all. Have a fantastic week. A week of love and light, a week of peace and healing for you to honor the people of your life, honor the journey you're on, honor yourself. Friends, keep your eyes open to what you may not be seeing. Keep your ears open and listen to the world around you. And remember, this is an organic book. The lessons, the laws, the ethics, the ritual, they change with the times. It's how it stays current, relevant, new, meaningful. It continues to provide us with insight and with answers in our modern lives. Remember, we set in motion all that happens in our lives. Our intention, our cause, our effect, everything is linked together. As I've said, you always have time to forgive and to be forgiven. You do have the knowledge of what is good and bad. So acknowledge what you've done wrong to yourself, to God, to any person you've wronged, and ask forgiveness. Do so with sincerity, accountability, and vulnerability. And forgive those who've hurt you, and be forgiving and be compassionate. Do not stop your journey. Do not stop moving towards your promised land. It is in sight. Keep on dreaming, keep on being, keep sharing, keep shining, keep teaching. Keep spreading your holiness. Do not follow fear. Follow love. It is always there in front of you. Remember to have faith. An unwavering adherence to principle, just as I have faith in all of you and in love. Now remember also to act with purity of heart and mind, despising none, defrauding none, hating none, cherishing all, honoring every child of God, every creature of the earth. May all peoples know peace in this year. May you nurture kindness and love everywhere. We're entering the wilderness together, my friends. The journey is beginning. We'll help each other every step along the way. We'll work together. And while we do, continue to work on yourself by being present in the body and by expanding the heart, quieting the mind. And anybody who wants real change finds a way to work on all three at the same time, because the deepest source of real power lies in consciousness and the ability to be present in all circumstances. No doubt, some folks enjoy doing battle. Like presidents, prime ministers, and kings. Let's all build them shelves where they can fight among themselves and leave the people be who want to sing. Yes, my friends, sing a simple song of freedom. Give love, embrace love, not fear, forgiveness, not anger. Be there for someone because someone will always be there for you, whether you know it or not. Be happy, be healthy, be helpful, be kind, and be loving. Now, I look forward to seeing you all next time. Shabbat Shalom and blessings to you all. Take care. Bye.